Good day everyone, hopes everyone's safe. Today, I'm going to give my honest, comprehensive, thorough, and in-depth review of this piece of gem, Aliw Fingerboard Decks 7-ply. First, what is a fingerboard deck? Well, it is a scaled-down version of a skateboard deck, and all the aspects of fabricating a fingerboard deck is the same as how the skateboard decks are made. Veneers, wood glue, pressing, sanding, lacquer. Standard fingerboard decks are mostly fashioned with 5-ply veneers, which was not a written rule, though 5-plies are very popular to the large percentage of fingerboard deck manufacturers. Aliw Fingerboards has been running through this 5-ply thing for a long time now, but this time they are changing the course of their fingerboard deck viewpoint by slacking in 2 more veneers to the common and dreary 5-ply assembly. 7-ply decks are not really a new thing, as many have gone the 7-ply path years back. FA Fingerboard Deck is one of the pioneers of the 7-ply genre here in the Philippines. Okay, here's an overview of this deck. 34mm wide and 98mm long. Decent and very much standard size blends. Nose is significantly higher than the tail, which will provide you that skateboard aesthetics, realistic playing, but restricting your finger positions, as you need to be mindful of the nose versus the tail. It may be an issue to some, especially those who are fond of the symmetrical fingerboard decks, but generally, it is the most accepted nose-tail orientation in fingerboard decks. Nose and tail are rounded, which is pretty average, though some fingerboarders prefer pencil cut tail. Edges in the nose and tail parts are a bit rounded. Not totally rounded, but this doesn't give you a piercing edge. At the bottom, there's a very thin line of a margin that gives us an impression that the bottom part was sanded in a little over 90 degrees. Top part also offers the same concept, but these are very thin and small details. But personally, I'm very keen to rounded edges, as I don't like edgy decks. The sides are the ones edgy, but that's fine. Lacquer is pretty standard, though it's better if this was lacquered with additional layers. Holes are perfectly drilled with beautiful countersinks. It's a big no-no for me if holes doesn't have countersinks, that it will not help the screws puncture its way through. Make sure before buying a deck to check the countersinks. This will aid your screws to penetrate further on the other side, and screw heads will be leveled or steamrolled with the deck surface. It is very irritating if you can feel the screw heads touching your fingertips, and also, the further the screws can go, the better adhesion to your trucks you will get. Here's how it looks like, with screws and also the bottom part. The concave is mellow, which will reduce further if you use a thick foam tape, so I suggest you use a very grippy tape to recompense the minimal concave. I am very particular to dips, which are located between the body and the tail or nose. These dips are designed to augment the pop of the deck. Upon observation, the low concave incorporated with the deck is vastly compensated with the design of the dips. They are not too deep nor shallow, but the positioning and angle really complemented the concave and its connectivity to the tail and the nose. This is how you vividly design a perfect deck, especially if you're keen to these small details. It astonished me most looking at the 7-ply veneers, that was squeezed down to form this thin cluster of wood. Absolutely thinner than any other 5-plies I've seen over the years. I'm still confused as to why and what this deck needs to be this thin. Why 7-ply, yet the deck was pinned down thinner and crazy lighter than a 5-ply? Here's my conclusion and personal opinion. Obviously, 7-plies will give you more stability and sturdiness, but making it thinner will give the deck space to bend on impacts. If you can understand me right, I'm talking about flexibility. Picture this. If I'm right, this deck was premeditated to reduce the roughness, impact, and intensity of landings. We're talking about resistance here. It's like comparing this deck to suspension forks of a bike. Don't get me wrong, this deck is not like a plastic you can bend. You cannot bend this in a more northward curve, but you can actually feel the bounce back of the deck. So I guess reinforcing the deck with 2 more plies to support the thin assembly and create the perfect combination of strength and flexibility. Now we're talking about innovation here, folks. My Berlin woods and yellow woods are strikingly hard, firm and solid, but this one is totally different. I haven't experienced something like this before. So how's the weight? Well, it's freaking light, and I'm an avid fan of heavy decks. Those solid heavy, built like a tank decks. So this deck is totally new to me. So how to deal with lighter decks? Well, first, you need to get parts that will add weight to your setup. So for this, I will be using a 34mm Black River trucks, oak bearing wheels, and FBS foam tape. Altogether, the feel is really good. The BRT, Oaks, and FBS provided the needed weight to compensate the totality of the setup. This deck has a very consistent concave with the perfect amount of tail and nose rise that will provide you better elevation during pops and tricks. It's easy to get familiarized with the shape and size of this, and in no time, you will get used to it instantly. For me, the quality of the deck is above average given those small details that really contributes to the entirety of the deck. Aliw Fingerboard is owned by a good friend, Jeff Ranillo, a local fingerboarder who ventured in deck making few years back. Had some successful runs with decks, but got enormously recognized by his fingerboard wheels, which is solid wheels. Hit him up on Facebook to grab your own Aliw decks and wheels. So there you go. That was my review of this amazing Aliw Fingerboard 7-ply decks. Go grab yours now. Hit like and share this video as well. And don't forget to subscribe to this channel to get more fingerboard related videos, reviews, and other stuff. Hit that notification bell to be notified for every new video. And please, murder that thumbs up button. Always remember, be safe, keep shredding, and see you in the next vid.